First, our top story. Hundreds of migrants from the Central America caravan are arriving at the U.S. border. This is video from Tijuana, Mexico yesterday. Tonight, the migrants are filling up shelters as they figure out their next move.
Meanwhile, a San Antonio pastor who spent 5 days traveling with that group is back home tonight.
Eyewitness News reporter Adi Guajardo sat down with him to talk about the migrants' mission for a better life.
So right now we are on top of the semis and we took a break and they're passing out water.
It's a trip Pastor Gavin Rogers says he needed to experience to understand the stories behind the faces of migrants enduring harsh conditions for weeks on foot and cramped in trucks to reach the U.S.
People are escaping extreme tragedy, extreme situations that are haunting to hear. Teenagers who have been raped, family members have been murdered or kidnapped. Let's take a look.
He documented every moment, even shared stories with Ken's 5 via Skype of migrants like Brian Mauricio, who made the painful decision to make the journey alone.
Mi familia, mis hermanos, y todos ellos. No sé, que los amo, que siempre voy a estar ahí para ellos.
Mi bebé tiene 3 años y lo dejé con mi mami.
They say they're escaping the grim reality of their homeland.
Me amenazaron de muerte y amenazaron a mi familia y tengo miedo.
Corrupción, maras.
Mucha violencia ahí, falta de trabajo.
¡Agarren agua pues acá!
Dismay fueling their mission, some guided by God's words, seeking hope despite their fear.
Due to the number of people coming this way,
Que todos los que vienen aquí no son criminales, son obreros, trabajadores, con ganas de trabajar. No queremos dañar a nadie, vamos en paz. Queremos estudiar también.
Primeramente Dios, trabajar y luchar por él.
With hundreds of miles until Mauricio reaches Tijuana, he wants to share one message.
Dios quiera que sí, porque hemos sufrido mucho.
Stories that moved Pastor Rogers, and he hopes will spark compassion in a divided country.
You could experience and get to know the people who are walking this caravan. It would completely change your heart and most likely your mind.
Adi Guajardo, Ken's 5, Eyewitness News.